Hey, hello everybody. Thank you for tuning in. It's official scorecard alone today. So I chose to do this stream because we didn't have an opportunity to do it the last week after this fight ended, and I'll rather keep it short today. I just really wanted to talk just a bit about the fights that happened, as well as some news that we got from WBC. Okay, so just give me a moment in order to set up a thumbnail. Here it is. Okay, so let's go. Yeah, like I told you, I'll try to keep it as short as possible. Hold on. Yeah. As you know, the last week, Virgil Ortiz fought Maurice Hooker. Maurice Hooker, who just moved up to 147. It was, let's say, a big step up fight for Ortiz. It's true. He already fought Orozco, who's a very solid fighter, as well as testing himself against Mauricio Herrera. Was it a year or two ago? I cannot remember exactly. And then, oh damn, I just forgot who he fought the last time. Virgil Ortiz. I know that he stopped a guy in the 5th or the 7th round, 6th, 7th round, something like that. Anyways, it was an extremely good fight, very exciting. Now, I think I'm going to access my private conversation on Discord with Corruption in Boxing. A conversation that we had during the bout in between Virgil Ortiz and Maurice Hooker. So just give me a second. I'm trying to find it. So the fight happened on the 20th of March. Yeah. Yeah, because I already rewatched this fight once. Nothing much changed. And it's not unusual, being that Maurice Hooker was a really big test for him. So, but anyways, instead of being nervous and being passive in the ring, he was anything but that. He was very aggressive. Started pressuring Hooker from the opening bell. and stacking him, cutting off the ring, which, well, it was something that he was doing rather well, not perfectly. He could surely did better, especially since the fourth round when Maurice Hooker started pivoting, changing angles, was giving him some real trouble. But the initial 3 rounds, Maurice Hooker, he was backing up, moving laterally, trying to keep distance, and not really throwing, while on the other side, Virgil Ortiz was throwing a lot of punches, and every single punch was thrown with a mean intention. Very, very explosive. The initial 3 rounds, he was not using his jab like really a lot, but he was doing a very good job with it whenever he was throwing that punch, and it was a good thudding jab and very explosive. So it was like a shotgun, and anytime he would land on Hooker, well, he was really snapping his head back. So his jab was definitely looking good. He was bobbing and weaving, using the upper body movement while pressuring Hooker. Well, I would say the energy that he showed in the ring since the beginning, since the opening bell, was something really wonderful to see, at least for me, because nowadays, I mean, I'm not somebody who's gonna pretend like to be nostalgic or anything, but it's been a while since I've seen an aggressive, new, young, talented welterweight fighter fighting in such a way, in what could be described as a step-up fight, his first real test. And as we've seen later in the fight, Hooker really did start testing him, indeed. But it was very reminiscent of some of the fighters from the previous generation. I would say with his stature, and being that he's slim and tall, what is he, 5'10", 11? He kinda Virgil Ortiz, and hear me out, I'm not talking about his boxing style, but he's well, the way he looks in the ring, his dimensions, as well as some other thing. He reminds me of a young Tito Trinidad, tall, lanky guy who would pressure his opponent, and yeah, just like some of those fighters from the previous generations, he was really aggressive. It was very, very nice to see, instead of some lethargic, overhyped welterweight who would try to look cute. Now, I would say, on the other hand, that Virgil Ortiz was overly aggressive, and what he lacked in the fight were the feints, definitely the feints, because I would say I saw him feinting maybe once, twice, 3 times tops, maybe. And anytime he would do so, he was making Maurice Hooker react and get out of position. But Virgil's intentions were to throw combos, to pressure him nonstop. It would be much better for him, and he would have a much better night, easier night against Hooker, if he was implementing a lot more feinting in his offense. Hello, good afternoon, Subhash Kanwar, aka I'm Phil. Thank you for being here. Hope you're doing well. You're having a nice weekend, as well as all of you listening to us now during this live, or catching it on YouTube later. By the way, tell me your thoughts. What you thought about this fight between Virgil Ortiz and Maurice Hooker? Because I was reading a lot of comments. I was watching a lot of streams on this fight, listening and reading to many post-fight thoughts on this fight, but I cannot remember who was telling what, etc. But yeah, physically he was very aggressive, and what I like about Ortiz is that he's keeping his punches short, and he's a very disciplined boxer. His defense is basic and very good. He's very disciplined when it comes to his defense, because he's keeping his guard up all the time. He's protected all the time. He only opens up when he throws his punches. But while I already had this discussion with Anthony from Thunderdome Boxing Talk, and we definitely agreed that, and that's also why Anthony likes him so much, because he's very disciplined as a fighter in the ring. I mean, well, that would be the only opening he would give you, when he's throwing his own punch, and while he's throwing with his right hand, his left hand would still be up on his chin. Same way for the other hand. But yeah, I saw from the fourth round on, Maurice Hooker, he started countering him with single punches and with combos, and yeah, a couple of times he was able to time a Virgil Ortiz in between his punches, and to sneak in his left hook or his straight punches. Because, well, like I previously said, Virgil was not really using a lot of feints, and it kind of became predictable. He was fighting at a very high pace, throwing the explosive combos nonstop. Every single punch that he threw in the fight was, well, very explosive, but it became fast for sure. He has a good hand speed, but it became predictable. So Hooker was using his pivots, lateral movement, throwing straight punches, and was starting to do some damage. I mean, Virgil Ortiz was still protecting himself. He's the most vital parts of his body, meaning his chin, was always tucked in. So props to Ortiz on that as well. An extremely talented fighter, no doubt. I remind you, he was my prospect of the year 2019. And like I said, it's nice that he keeps his punches short. On the other hand, Virgil Ortiz. So with good basics, you can accomplish a lot. And on top of that, he's building up on top of those solid basics of his. And his timing, I would not say was excellent or extremely good, but it was good, and he can develop it further. He's a very nice counter puncher. His footwork as well is extremely good. So a well-rounded fighter. Now, the problem with this fight was that initially, at the first try at weight-in, he came over the limit. If I'm not mistaken, it was about 1.5 pounds over the limit, or maybe 2.5. I cannot remember exactly, but he was given, what was that, like 1 hour before his second try, and he came under the limit on the second try, so that's good. But yeah, it's not surprising, being that he's a tall, not extremely lanky, certainly not as much as Hooker is, because that guy, man, he's so tall, extremely tall for the welterweight division. I would say that even he's cutting a lot of weight even to make 147 now. And imagine him at 140 just a couple of months ago, just a year ago. Yeah, so the fourth round, Maurice Hooker finally started throwing his punches with conviction, and he stunned Ortiz for a bit, and you could see Ortiz's demeanor change in the fourth round, which I gave to Maurice Hooker. It was, I think, the only round I gave to Hooker. Maybe the next one as well. I cannot remember now, going round by round, but at the fourth round, you can clearly see Ortiz's demeanor change while being overly aggressive in the first three rounds. He kept himself at distance while still pressuring Hooker, but being much more careful because of some punches that he felt. And throughout that whole round, I would say, he was suffering. He was having trouble. Maurice Hooker throwing combos while pivoting around him, was catching him on top of his head, around his guard a bit. But just like I said once more, Ortiz was doing a good job of protecting his chin. So the fourth round, which I gave to Hooker, well, it told me that possibly fighting Crawford, definitely it's a no-brainer from Ortiz's defensive perspective. He would have much more trouble with Crawford's offense, because he's a much quicker. He has a much better hand and foot coordination. So he could even more easily punch on the move, and no doubt that Crawford, if he was to fight Virgil Ortiz, and by the way, I'll get to that later, about that possible fight in between, not Hooker, between Virgil Ortiz and Terence Crawford. But if Crawford had to fight him, he would definitely be on the outside, maybe spending a bit of time throwing combos in the pocket, but he would need to use a lot of footwork against Virgil Ortiz. Yeah, another thing that was bothering him from Hooker was that when Hooker, despite being extremely tall and having extremely long arms for this division, he was able to throw short punches because while throwing combos, he was not bringing his gloves back to his chin. So it helped him being able to land a lot of punches around Ortiz's guard, being that he was keeping his gloves far away from his chin and rather close to what's his name, to Virgil Ortiz. So that's how he was able to snap quick 1-2s, 1-2-3s, and pivot out. The Shepherd of Suns. Hello, my friend. Hello. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. Yeah, I'm alone here today because I decided that as we were unable to do the show the last Sunday, that these fights were kind of worth covering, I would say. I mean, at least I had a couple of things to say about them, and it would be a shame not to talk about them at all. So that's why I'm doing the streaming right now. And on top of that, we'll get to to a big WBC announcement about the flyweight super tournament, little tournament, however you want to call it. But yeah, thank you for being here, Shap, as always. By the way, is there a way for me to give some of you guys the ranches? I don't even know how to do it. Certainly not from StreamYard. But anyways, yeah, let's get back to boxing. Now about the other fights. I'm gonna be brief. I watched Beterbiev against Deines. I caught that fight a couple of hours after happening, and well, definitely, as we were all able to see watching that fight, he was having some trouble, some technical difficulties against the Southpaw Danes, or whatever his name is. Danes who from the jump he was looking sharp with his counters. He was showcasing, I would say, a good timing, which was a complete opposite of a Beterbiev. I would say that at the beginning of the fight, Beterbiev's timing was looking really bad. He was looking really sloppy, which is not surprising, being that Beterbiev is what, if I'm not wrong, I think he's about 37 years old. Correct me if I'm wrong, but for damn sure he's on the bad side of the 30s. And on top of that, he haven't fought for what was that? Oh man, was it? Man, for a long time, for a very long time, so it's natural. I mean, it's a no-brainer. In order to keep your timing sharp, you need to fight as often as possible, which was clearly not the case with Artur Beterbiev. Now, I was not really paying a lot of attention to that fight, or any of the other fights, for that matter, that happened the last weekend, because there was 5, 6, I don't know how many of them. So I wanted to catch them all, and yeah, I would. I would eventually do further analysis on some of these fights when these fighters are about to fight their future fights, especially if it's a big fight for Beterbiev, like facing Bivol or Joe Smith Jr. I will definitely rewatch and analyze this fight against Deines much more closely. Yeah, so he stopped Deines in what was that, the 10th round. I would say from what was that, something like the 4th round on. But Beterbiev, he started landing good combos, and the thing with him, just how powerful he is. He can, when he throws combos, the reason they're so effective is that he doesn't swing, he doesn't cock his hands back. He's keeping his punches during his combos very short, and he's not throwing them with full force. So it makes his combos faster than they would be if he was trying to really land the hardest punches, because he's already extremely heavy-handed, man, a real beast. So such a guy who is heavy-handed to that point, he doesn't really have to to put his whole weight in every single of his punches, of his combos, in order to hurt you. He can just let his hands go, just to make them quicker, and with his punches that are already short, he almost never I mean, his punching technique is really great because he has a rather short arms, and he also keeps his punches short. So even when he's not throwing with full force, you would have an impression that he's landing, he's hitting you with a tree trunk. You know what I mean? Yeah, but anyways, I cannot recall his. I mean, I heard and I saw many people mentioning this that there is nothing to worry about Beterbiev. That he had a similar fight before fighting Gvozdyk and looking great against Gvozdyk. He was fighting Colling, another German guy that took him to full distance, but I cannot exactly remember how he was looking in that fight against Colling before fighting Gvozdyk. But everybody was saying that after this fight against Deines, people were saying that, well, against Colling, he pretty much looked the same way, not so sharp. So maybe it is the case. But yeah, one thing is sure, what we would like to see is Beterbiev being more active. By the way, just a quick thought. Okoli fought Glovatsky, and yeah, stopped him in the 5th or the 6th round, something like that. Yeah, he was a very dominant performance for Okoli. I mean, it's from a boxing fans type of point of view. Sorry, it was a much better fight than some of the previous fights of Okoli, where, well, let's say, like I said it on Thunderdome's stream, let's say that Okoli's whole game plan throughout his whole pro career up till the very last few fights has been grab and not get grabbed. Grab and not get grabbed. It really describes how the way he fought most of his pro career. Now his coach trying to make him look a bit better, you know, for a bit to be a bit more exciting for the fighting fans, and for them, sure, he was looking way better against Glovatsky, but the fight was not exciting at all. I mean, Glovatsky, yeah, he was stuck in him, but he was. I mean, we know that Glovatsky is shot. I'm not saying how would it go if it was a prime Glovatsky, doesn't matter at all, and I could not be bothered with thinking about a prime Glovatsky. But anyways, yeah, Okole did a very good job staying on the outside. Now that fight, neither I haven't examined it closely, haven't analyzed it, only watched it. So Okole was untouchable from the outside, certainly against Glovatsky, who's while he's old man. So a good win. He stopped him. What was that? The 5th or the 6th round? Cannot remember. Doesn't matter. Yeah. So what we have on the menu? I need to talk about the WBC flyweight, super flyweight tournament, Povetkin Whyte, the rematch, and yeah, just briefly on Seniesa Estrada. Yeah, let's talk about her. Now look, as you may know, I'm someone who doesn't really enjoy women boxing for the most part. I try to watch it. I would not say many times, but a good couple of times. A good couple of times I try to watch it, and for me, there are two things. Um, First, I'm not seeing the same skill level that I'm seeing in men's boxing. Then, also on the other hand, for being a man, it's never pleasurable seeing two girls fight. So, but okay, I understand the other people who are not of the same opinion when it comes to that standpoint, you know. But Seniesa Estrada, for just, I mean, there are a couple of girls that I remember watching recently. I would say she's an extremely good fighter. She's she's let's say she's miles in front of well, many overrated bombs in boxing. She really has some real skills. She's very good, very sharp. I'll get a bit deeper into it, but before that, good afternoon, Triple JJJ. Hello, hello, hello. Thanks for coming here. Yeah, I just spoke about Ortiz Hooker fight, Beterbiev Deines. Now a couple of words on Seniesa Estrada. First of all, it's nice to see a girl who's as aggressive in the ring as her, and she's not falling out of balance. She has a really good footwork. Likes to feint. Showed me some good capabilities, good skills, as well as respectful ring IQ. John Gonzalez, what's up? What's up, John? Hello, my friend. So yeah, Seniesa Estrada. I mean, I was talking about this fight with corruption in boxing as well. Well, we were exchanging the messages on Discord throughout this fight as well as the main event, and I was telling him of how surprised I was, pleasantly surprised by Seniesa Estrada, because before that I only saw her while knocking out that other girl the last year in a fight that was criticized for being made, being that people were saying she was her opponent that she knocked out in 10-15 seconds of the fight was really severely overmatched. And what I remember from that previous fight, was that Seniesa keeps her combos tight. You know, she's not falling off balance. She's very compact and extremely explosive for a girl. So that was the first good thing that I saw from her, and that's exactly why I wanted to see this fight. And on top of that, corruption telling me that she's a real beast, and that I should watch her fight, and that's exactly what made me watch the fight. And it was she's the complete opposite of the fight that we've seen on Chocolatito versus Estrada rematch undercard. A much better fight. I mean, her opponent was backing up, not giving a lot of resistance, but being resistant, being tough and able to take a lot of punishment from Seniesa, while Seniesa was, man, there were a lot of things that I liked about her. Now, yeah, of course, even this fight, she was, I mean, she would get overly aggressive and careless, and corruption was telling me that she should use more of her jab, and indeed he's so right about it. I would like to cover her future fights with him on the future episodes of the Coup d'etat of boxing. But yeah, one thing that caught my eye was her switch hitting, and now when she's switch hitting, she's doing something that not many other switch hitters are doing, because what we would usually get in boxing, the way boxers are switch hitting for the most part, they would either spend a whole round in one stance, then come in the next round with the other stance, with in a southpaw stance, let's say, or they would stay in their stance for a while what I've seen from Seniesa is something that I only saw from, at least I can remember seeing from Julio Cesar Martinez, switching during and right after her combos. So, and she does it so smoothly. Now again, this is another fight that I haven't really analyzed in details, and for the first time, I enjoyed her performance so much. Let's say that for the first time, I would be interested into analyzing a woman fight. This fight, she was using a lot of feints, head movement. I cannot remember what else I was seeing from her, but yeah, good lateral movement angles. Now the fight is not fresh in my head anymore, so I cannot remember all the things, because I know there were many other things that I saw about this fight from Seniesa Estrada. So too bad the fight is not fresh anymore in my memory, so I cannot mention them. But I remember speaking to Corruption about what I saw in that fight, and yeah, pretty exciting fighter, and yeah, props to Seniesa on that. Now the thing is, my last point on women boxing would be that there are two officials, one who would watch women boxing from the coach's point of view, and the other one as a pure boxing fan. Now, as a pure boxing fan, for the most part, I would not give a single fuck about women boxing, because, like I told you, for the most part, not well, like we've seen with Seniesa, not always, but for the most time, female boxing is just boring me. Not as technical, not as good in many ways as man boxing. And okay, if you're a pure boxing fan, nothing other than that, I think you would think the same way. Well, if they're not good enough, I cannot be bothered to watch them. But on the other hand, if some of these girls surprise me and is looking very good in the ring, the way she fights, showing me the similar skill levels as the male fighters are showing me, then why not? Let's see her future fights. And hopefully that her opponents, on the other hand, could be able to to be competitive with her, because it's not funny neither to how do you say it? It's not interesting to have a fighter overmatch in the ring. So the same way we want the male fighters to be matched, we want to see them in 50-50 type of fights. So the same way goes for females. Even if they're talented, yeah, we want to see them against an opponent who can match them. On the other hand, as a coach, I would definitely support any girl who really loves boxing, and on top of that, it definitely would be a challenge as a coach to how do you say it, to take a girl and see how far you can go with her, because I do think, I was telling to Corruption, I just cannot remember if it was on or off the air. I think it was on the very last episode on the air, that being that female boxers are not obviously nowhere as strong as the male boxers, that them just taking the craft and improving their skills seriously, that it would make a huge difference for them. And well, we can see some of that with Seniesa, because well, most of them are falling off balance, etc. She keeps her boxing compact, her punches. Yeah, she would get careless, especially in her last fight, but for the most part, she's compact, good basics, so it makes a lot of difference there. Dillian Whyte versus Alexander Povetkin rematch happening tonight in just a couple of hours. Timmy Nealon, hello Timmy, what's up? Hope you're doing well. By the way, guys, any of you watching right now, tell me please who are you picking in this rematch? To me personally, oh, this is crazy, because you remember me, you certainly remember me doing a film study prediction video for the first fight on my own solo channel. And I thought I did an extremely good job there, and still I was so confused about the first fight and who would win it. Virtuoso, what's up? Yeah, just chilling here a couple of hours before Whyte Povetkin 2. Nothing special. Thank you for being on, man. Thank you, bro. But anyways, guys, give me your predictions for tonight, and how difficult it was for you to pick a winner. Because to me, like I was about to tell you, it was very difficult. I already told you in my prediction and breakdown video for the first fight in between them two on my solo channel. I told you that really anything could happen in that fight for different reasons. But finally, I took Povetkin to win. And usually what would happen, what would happen for the most part when we have the rematches, being that we would be able to base our predictions for the rematches on the first fight in between two guys. It would get more, well, supposedly, it would get your job of picking the winner in the rematch easier, being that you just had these two same guys fighting in between each other once before that fight, before the rematch, right? Sorry for the background noises. Virtuoso, he has Whyte by KO in the 5th round. Yeah. Well, look, Virtuoso. But I was just about to say, this fight, man. It's there is a lot of mind fuckery when it comes to fights recently, which is a good thing. It means that these are 50-50 fights, and that's something that we want to see as boxing fans. But yeah, this is another rematch where man, I don't know what to say. I don't know who I'm picking. I haven't done any study for the rematch. I could not be bothered. I'm extremely busy, so I'm not really able to to do a lot of betting and predictions this year in boxing. So I don't really know what's happening. The thing. Okay, let me read John Gonzalez's comment. He's saying it's hard to tell, but I'm picking Whyte late stoppage. I will be rooting for Sasha. Yeah, that's it, John. I mean, what I was about to say. The way before the first fight, I was uh, I was confident that Povetkin can do some really good things, can look good in the first fight, based on him showing me a good footwork in his previous fight against Michael Hunter. But what is the biggest change to me? I mean, beside that brutal knockout in the first fight, is that in that fight, Povetkin's footwork was looking really, really bad, really terrible, really slow. For the first fight, I was predicting Povetkin to kind of out jab Whyte, and the reason for me thinking so was that he would have his footwork to step out of range on jabs like he would usually do, and Whyte is very easy to counter with the jab. Countering Whyte's jab with the jab is real easy, and for sure I knew that Povetkin even back then would stay at the range at moments and would get hit by a jab, but for the most part he was able to step out of range to time the opponent's jab and step out of range before getting touched with it, which was not the case at all in this first fight against Whyte, so I'm a much I see that it's such a mind fuck to try to predict the winner of this rematch tonight, because okay, I mean, there are many moments where fighters would not look the same, would not look sharp in their last fight or two, but then would be able, even at old age, would be able to come back and show us some good things, to look sharp again. So you never know. It may be an off night for Povetkin when it comes to his footwork in the first fight, because it was looking terrible, looking really slow. He was really unable to step out of Whyte's range. So you never know. Maybe his footwork looks fresh tonight in the rematch. But if you're going to judge the fight, to judge a fighter by his very last performance, in that case, I would have much less confidence in Povetkin and his footwork. On the other hand, yeah, he's the author of the knockout of the previous year, of the year 2020, and well, we don't know what's happening with Whyte, how seriously the knockout he suffered against Povetkin in the first fight affected him. So that's another thing, you know. But right after this show, I think I'm going to. I usually sorry for the background noises. I mean I never play parlays and accumulators, but I may do it for fun. And on one of them, I'll pick Povetkin by knockout. The other one, Dylan, because I mean, no, I think I would pick Povetkin, but man, I'm not confident at all. If Dillian Whyte didn't suffer that brutal knockout, I would be picking him. Sorry, just give me a second. I'll be right back. Yeah, sorry, I'm back. Just the way Povetkin's footwork was looking in that first fight, man, doesn't give me confidence. But I'll tell you what. If you believe it's about, if you think it's a 50-50 kind of fight, in that case, always go with the underdog, with the one who will bring you more money. And I was never hedging my bets, but this time tonight I'll play 2 accumulators for fun, and on one of them I'll pick Povetkin by knockout. On the other one, well, I'll pick Dillian Whyte by knockout too, because like everyone is saying before this fight, it's gonna be impossible for this fight to go full 12. I mean, I don't believe it. Okay, and so the last topic of today's show. A huge news from WBC. I'll read the news to you and then I'll give you my thoughts. WBC announces Superfly tournament. After receiving the input of all involved parties and considering their respective positions, the WBC Board of Governors has voted unanimously in favor of the WBC Superfly tournament, which will provide the necessary structure for the WBC Superflyweight division and will give boxing fans around the world a series of great upcoming bouts. The WBC has received the requests, which are: number 1, WBC Superflyweight World Champion Juan Francisco Estrada has requested to be designated franchise boxer of the division. And the other one, The division's mandatory challenger, Seniesa Estrada has requested to fight for the WBC world title in light of the fact that he stepped aside to allow the Estrada versus Gonzalez rematch. Furthermore, there is a worldwide public demand for the third Estrada versus Gonzalez fight. The recent bout, doesn't matter. The Superfly tournament concept, created by renowned promoter Tom Loeffler, has produced great fights involving Yeah, so basically, just like I read it, they're saying Estrada requested to be named a franchise champion, while Seniesa requested to fight for the WBC belt. Now, of course, too bad corruption is not here to talk about this, because we spoke a bit the last night about corruption among the governing, the alphabet belts, the alphabet organizations, as well as this upcoming mini tournament. And yeah, of course, we all definitely hate the franchise belt. Just a way for WBC to get more sanctioning fees. Definitely, Suleiman can fuck off with it, no doubt. But if anything, in my personal opinion, this is the only right way to use that bullshit called a franchise belt, if you really have to implement it. This would be the right way, the only right way, and not like they did at 135, giving a belt to a fighter just because he's with a different network. What my view on this is, I mean, my guess would be that, okay, Gonzalez had meeting with WBC recently, wanted to request an immediate fight with Estrada, and so at the same time they had to do something with Sorungvisai, who, as we all know, was a mandatory for the winner of this rematch in between Estrada and Gonzalez. So initially he was supposed, again, sorry for the background noises, Seniesa Sorungvisai was supposed to fight Estrada, being that Estrada got the official W against Gonzalez in the rematch fight. But yeah, so that's why they had to do something for him too. And while their WBC's official website, their narrative is that Estrada requested to be a franchise champion, while Rungvisai requested to fight for the WBC belt. That's the official narrative, but I'm not sure 100% that it was them asking for it. I would rather say that it was a mutual decision. It was probably something that WBC came up with in order to set this mini tournament and to allow a trilogy in between Gonzalez and Estrada to happen. So I would say this was a move to make all the parties involved, to make them happy. And yeah, the good thing is that we are getting some great fights. The third fight between Gonzalez Estrada. Now, look, like I told you on the previous show, The rematch left a very salty taste in my mouth, because despite it being a fucking amazing fight of the year, one of the best fights that I was able to witness, and two fighters that I really like, and especially Gonzalez, who's my very favorite fighter. So yeah, from that standpoint, for sure, of course, we would love to see a third fight, a trilogy in between them. But on the other hand, it makes it, corruption made it so cheap, you know. It's like, as a boxing fan, or rather as Chocolatitos fan, what would you expect to happen in the third fight? Are you going to expect anything really different happening the third time? Are you expecting for the corruption not to take place the third time? Back then, many years ago, I would say, back in the day, when I was still naive, I would say, yeah, it would be too much to fuck up a fight with horrendous scorecards two times in a row in between two fighters. But we've seen Cavalier versus Ward, Golovkin versus Canelo. So just don't be so naive if you don't expect, don't be naive to think another robbery would be impossible in the very next fight, because these people, they don't give a fuck at all about anything. They don't give a fuck about you wanting to see a great trilogy in between two amazing fighters. No, they don't give a fuck, and that's why in the previous on the previous show I told you, if people who were saying right after the fight, after the rematch, like, yeah, it's terrible what happened on the scorecards with scorecards, but let's forget it and let's talk about, and let's always remember of how a great fight it was. And it was, but man, if you want to pretend the robbery never happened, then that's what are you going to continue getting, because you're not raising your voice. And that's exactly what made this fight, the rematch, ending up looking much cheaper than it should. That horrible decision, official decision. Props to Estrada, who gave a great fight, but not on the level that Gonzalez Chocolatito was able to perform. So yeah, just if you continue on ignoring the corruption and pretending everything is all right and dandy, that's exactly what you're going to get in the future. We saw at least a couple of times that with the boxing fans, we at least can, maybe we are not really responsible for some of the fights happening, but we really can put some pressure on different fighters, on promoters, on. I know I'm not deluded to expect us to change the corruption that is happening in boxing, but at least see, that's the thing, that's something that's fucked up. We should vote with our money, but at the same time we want these little guys who are way more skilled than the overrated fucking divas at heavyweight, super middleweight, welterweight. They're 5 times better, showcasing much better skills than these overhyped divas. We want them to get paid, and they're finally being paid. I would still not say the money they deserve, because with the skills that they're showcasing, they deserve much more than that. But yeah, they're finally getting paid millions. So it's fucked up. I'm not saying that I have a solution. In fact, I would really love to speak with corruption in boxing on this very topic in the future, on some of the future streams. Yeah, on the other hand, Seneisa Estrada versus Carlos Cuadras, the rematch. Don't get me wrong, it's a very good fight, extremely good fight, but not as interesting as Seneisa versus Kazuto Ioka would be. Now that would be an amazing fight, but I guess they chose to stick to the original new Fab 4, and not the faggots at 135. He needs a bitch, Tank is a bitch, Lopez is a bitch, Garcia is a bitch. Just reminding you. Yeah, but anyways, yeah, I would say now this is the right way to implement and use that terrible thing called a franchise belt. So that's the only way it should be supposed to happen. But at the end of it, I'm really happy that we are getting these fights, with the winner of Rongo versus Cuadras facing the winner between Gonzalez and Estrada. And imagine if we get another fight between Chocolatito and Estrada this year, it would be absolutely amazing. Now, let me go just quickly over to the boxing schedule for the upcoming fights, because I cannot remember what else is happening beside this fight between Povetkin and Whyte tonight. So give me a second. Oh yeah, the last night I missed Dennis McCann, the bantamweight prospect who was fighting Luis Moreno. I saw that he won the unanimous decision. It was an 8-rounder, but I haven't seen it. I have to download it and see it. Yeah, Dennis McCann is a very nice prospect. On the undercard of Povetkin Whyte rematch, there is Ted Chisman versus JJ Metcalf. Now, Chris Kango versus Michael McKinson. I've never seen McKinson fighting, at least I cannot remember, but Chris Kango is a very good talent, good prospect. Okay. Oh yeah. In 7 days, there's a fight in Dubai. Jamal Herring versus Carl Frampton. That would be an interesting fight to watch. And on the undercard of that fight, there is, Dani Nietes is coming back. So yeah, Dani Nietes, is he like 41 years old. He's very old, especially. Oh man, at the super flyweight, it's super ancient. On the other card, not the undercard, but the other card that is happening on the same day, but it's also no, sorry. Yeah, it's a card taking place in Uzbekistan. All Uzbekistan card. Murajon Akhmadaliev versus Ryosuke Iwasa for the super bantamweight unification for the WBA and IBF belts. On the undercard, Shakram Gyasov versus an opponent who hasn't been chosen yet to be announced. And Israel Madrimov is fighting Colombo. Oh shit, in 2 weeks. There is Ankahas coming back. And also in 2 weeks there is Savannah Marshall. She's another boxer that a female boxer that I've seen that has some skills. Now I would say I don't like really fighters being weight bullies, and she seems so much taller than her opponents, in my opinion. So I don't like that, but she can get very sloppy at moments. But the last fight I saw her fighting, I cannot remember her opponent's name, but she was showing me some really nice skills. So she's really worth keeping your eye on her. If you're as curious about female boxing as myself, because I do want to see some skilled girls. But yeah, anyways, that would be it. Thank you all guys for tuning in. I'm not sure if this Sunday, I don't think Corruption will be back. Not this Sunday, in my opinion. So if I'm able to host the show, I'll do it on Sunday. Otherwise, I'm Phil, aka Subash, the Shepherd of Sounds, Triple JJJ, Timmy Nilan, Virtuoso, and John Gonzalez, and all of you watching this episode. Thank you for being here, and have a great weekend. See you guys. Oh, thank you too, John. Peace out, guys.